We all know the story of Noah and the flood. But according to some researchers, there could be as many as 200 different deluge stories, from ancient cultures throughout the world. So this begs the obvious question. In terms of science, what single causality could yield such a global diversity of deluge stories? For that we look back to 1940, when a Chilean astronomer, by the name of Carlos Ferrada, first postulated an explanation that accounts for all of these flood stories. An explanation based on two objects. One he calls the Black Star, and the other, an object he called Hercules, or what we know today as Planet X, or Nibiru. According to Ferrada, Hercules is a large comet planet, charged with cosmic energy, in an elliptical orbit between the two suns of our own solar system. Our sun, and its smaller dark twin, Nemesis. A man of great intellect and insight, Ferrada tells us that this object does not follow established electoral laws, which in turn explains its bizarre behaviors. He also predicts that during this next coming flyby, this massive object will come within 14 million kilometers of Earth. And that it will be seen with the naked eye. Visible from every point on the globe. Yes, we will all see it, and we will photograph it, but when will we all come to believe it with our own eyes? That might be quite another question.
Welcome to the WTF Files. The ultimate aim of all science, to penetrate the unknown. The greatest mystery is right here, right under our feet. These are the stories that will make you say, WTF.
Hopefully, it will be in time for us to find safety from the coming cataclysm. The horrific event, that is predicted by Edgar Cayce, a great American psychic, known as the Sleeping Prophet. He prophesied a coming pole shift, which would bring the end of humanity. What would the celestial mechanics of such an event look like? It would probably look like the one that haunted Ferrada, in this 1999 interview, late in his life. There are so many things which are unfortunate. Mankind is not ready. Change comes. The destruction comes. And above all, it will affect humanity in its existence, in its production, and in its own substance. Watching this interview with Ferrata, you can see the obvious pain of awareness, etched on his face. As we all learn more, we all now know the pain as well. The knowing of the horrific cataclysm to come. We know now, it will happen when these massive objects pass close enough to gain a lithosphere lock on the Earth, thereby pulling the skin of our planet around. This will cause the pole shift predicted by Edgar Cayce over 90 years ago. As with all journeys, they do have a beginning. And that beginning for us is the first dawn of awareness about what is to come. And for that, we go to the past. In 1940, a Chilean astronomer, by the name of Carlos Ferrada, first began talking about an object he called Hercules, or what we know today as Planet X, or Nibiru. But he also talked about not one, but two objects. Hercules is the same planet Zecharia Sitchin, author of the 12th planet, describes as Nibiru. According to his translations of the ancient Sumerian texts, and according to Sitchin, it is 4 times the size of Earth. But of an even greater concern to us, is the Black Sun, as Ferrata calls it, a binary twin, to our own Sun, that is believed to be roughly 56 times the size of Earth. And it is the core object of a mini-constellation we call the Planet X system, which in turn orbits around our own Sun, much like a comet would. The small sun he referred to as the Black Sun is actually a brown dwarf star, known to present-day astronomers as Nemesis. Brown dwarfs are small protostars that lack the mass to sustain hydrogen fusion, like our Sun. Consequently they are very dark stars, and extremely difficult to find. That is why, they are also referred to as failed stars. In fact, the existence of brown dwarf stars wasn't even theorized until the 1960s. And back then they were initially called black dwarfs. It wasn't until 1988 before the first brown dwarf was discovered. The modern hunt for Planet X began with the deep space probes. Pioneer 10, launched in 1972. Pioneer 11, launched in 1973. These missions established the existence of something of substantial mass. Because whatever it was, it had significantly altered the trajectories of both probes. Then in 1983, the infrared astronomical satellite, IRIS, was launched to image that mass. According to NASA, IRIS failed before the mission could be completed. However, several government whistleblowers have since come forward to say IRIS had in fact imaged Planet X. It is also important to note that these whistleblowers are consistent with the news accounts of that time. Most notable was a New York Times article, published on January 30, 1983, which states, "More credence was given to the hypothesis that a brown dwarf star accounts for the mysterious force. Moreover, a brown dwarf in the neighborhood might not reflect enough light to be seen from far away," said Dr. John Anderson of the Jet Propulsion Laboratories in Pasadena, California. Thanks to the efforts of Dr. Robert S. Harrington, chief astronomer for the United States Naval Observatory, in October of the same year, he published a paper entitled, "The Location of Planet X." Here, you see Dr. Harrington being interviewed by Zachariah Sitchin, author of The 12th Planet, for a network documentary. In that interview, Dr. Harrington showed Sitchin an orbital diagram for the Planet X system. Interestingly enough, in this illustration, created by Dr. Harrington, we see the description and orbit of planet Nibiru, the very same planet that Sitchin maintains exist, according to his translations of the ancient Sumerian texts. It is likewise noteworthy that Harrington commissioned the construction of a special telescope for a Planet X sky survey, which was constructed in 1991, at the Black Birch Observatory, in New Zealand. The observations made were based on Harrington's own calculations, and the films were delivered directly to NASA, and never seen again. And in a matter of speaking, neither was Harrington. This courageous astronomer died on January 23, 1993, from a rapid onset of esophageal cancer. Many believed he was assassinated. It should be noted that following his mysterious death, the Planet X topic went dark in the mainstream media, because it had become a death topic. And with that, we now take a big step forward to the year 2006. The SPT, as it is commonly referred to, is a 10-meter in diameter telescope, located at the Edmondson Scott South Pole Station, in Antarctica. Simply put, it is the ideal infrared telescope location for observing anything rising up from the southern skies, like the Planet X system and its brown dwarf. The official reasons given for constructing this telescope in the most inhospitable region of the world sound noble, but in fact, do not justify the expense. In 2008, a whistleblower posted Planet X images, taken with the SPT, on YouTube, under the name, Nibiru Shock 2012. Here, you see the images he posted in his video, that were captured by the SPT in January 2008. What we see is the strong infrared signature of a brown dwarf star, and between 5 to 7 planets in orbit around it. In this close-up, the brown dwarf has a tail. This can be attributed to the fact that Nemesis, the brown dwarf seen here in the center of the image, is surrounded by a massive dust disk. it would likely look similar to this animation. The problem this presents for us here on Earth is that at some point in the future, we will have to pass through this dust disk. According to Zechariah Sitchin's translations of the ancient Sumerian texts, Nibiru is the size of 4 Earths. And according to Carlos Ferrada, the Nemesis brown dwarf, he calls the black star, is the size of 55.5 Earths. So in terms of a pole shift event, where the gravitational force of Nibiru and Nemesis gain a lithosphere lock on our planet, these forces will pull the skin of our planet around and rip them apart. In a 2008 Project Camelot interview, government whistleblower Bob Dean announced that our worst fears would be realized during this coming flyby of Planet X. He claims the Earth would be on the wrong side of the Sun, as the Planet X system begins its downward track back into the farthest reaches of our solar system. No doubt astronomer Carlos Ferrada saw this as well, when he predicted that during this coming flyby, Nibiru will come within 14 million kilometers of the Earth, much closer than its last passing. Consequently, the pole shift as envisioned by Carlos Ferrada, and predicted by Edgar Cayce, will happen for the very reason given by whistleblower Bob Dean, that the Earth is simply going to be at the wrong place, at the wrong time. The coming event will indeed be a real tribulation for all of humankind. First will come increased seismic displacement of the Earth's crusts, which is already happening now in 2019. Followed by increased volcanism, which also is already happening worldwide. Then, there will be the deep impact events that many of our modern astronomers and scientists are warning us about on all the science news websites. Soon after, we will see the magnetic forces of Nibiru and Nemesis as they gain a lithosphere lock on Earth, which will start to pull the skin of our planet around the globe, rearranging the continents as we know them today. There can be no doubt, the Earth's poles will shift, just as they have done thousands of times before. This will not be the first, or last time they do. But, history has proven one thing, life will continue. When Nemesis does cross the ecliptic, on its outward leg to the furthest reaches of our solar system, at this point both Nemesis and Nibiru will be in opposition to Earth. And that is when the combined magnetic forces begin to pull on the lithosphere of our planet, thereby causing a pole shift, in which every major body of water will come out of its basin. All coastal communities will be affected by this event when it happens. During this time, we will see both Nemesis and Nibiru. There will also be catastrophic interactions between our Sun and both Nemesis and Nibiru, resulting in catastrophic solar storms, which will scorch the surface of our planet. This will be a time when we will need to take refuge below the ground. Likewise, there will be terrible impact events all over the world during the flyby, leaving lasting scars on the land and turning our summers into long winters. But the worst yet will be the earthquakes and tsunamis created by the solar onslaught and the ensuing volcanism. We warn those living along the coastlines, death will befall them with brutal walls of water, crashing like hydraulic sandpaper, grinding them apart. Then will come the knockout punch. A catastrophic pole shift, flipping everything upside down, which will be as harsh for those living under the ground, in the safety of their bunkers, as it will be for those living on the surface. For those who survive this flyby, will start to sort themselves out. Mother Nature will wash clean these new lands with powerful rains. And in time, life will come back to the barren wastelands. Life will continue. Then in the fullness of time, our planet will once again become a virgin paradise, lush and green. And humanity will once again hear the laughter of children at play. And who will be the ones to survive this event, and to make it to the other side? To see those beautiful blue skies once again? I believe it will be those who have chosen to walk humbly with God. Because the meek truly will inherit the earth. We ask you all this question. Are you prepared for the return of the Planet X system? Will you be ready when the sky truly does begin to fall? Or will you hesitate, until there is no more time to wait? We are already seeing the effects of the poles shifting, with the solar freeze happening across America. When will you decide, it's time to be prepared? Let us know what you think, we always want to know what you have to say. Like this video. And subscribe to our channel today, for even more stories that will make you say WTF. God bless you all.
These are the WTF files. Subscribe today, and be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Thank you for watching the WTF files.